Picture this. The power's been out for 4 days. Your phone's dead. The store's stripped bare. That eerie silence outside, it's not peace, it's desperation. You open your pantry and suddenly, every can, every bag feels like a lifeline. I'm Sean, and I've been prepping since 2014. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Prepping isn't about paranoia, it's about survival. It's about control when the world around you spirals into chaos. Here's the hard truth. Most people think they're ready because they've got a couple of cans of soup and a flashlight. That mindset, it's a death sentence. Look at Texas in 2021. Power grid failed, grocery shelves emptied in hours, and people were melting snow just to drink water. That wasn't some far-off disaster. That was right here in the US. If you don't want to be one of those people, listen up. Today, I'm breaking down the 9 canned foods every serious prepper needs in their survival pantry. These aren't just fillers, they're lifesavers. And number 7, it's a game changer that almost nobody talks about, but it could keep you alive when your body's running on fumes. The world's getting shaky. Supply chains, inflation, extreme weather, it's all adding up. Shelves are thinning, prices are climbing, and time is running out. Start now, and you can build a stockpile that keeps your family fed and safe when everything else falls apart. Grab a pen. This list could be the difference between survival and desperation. The mighty can of beans. Your survival MVP. Let's get one thing straight. If you're building a survival pantry and you're not stocking up on beans, you're doing it wrong. Black beans, pinto beans, chickpeas. These aren't just cans of food, they're survival powerhouses. Think about it. In a real crisis, when the power's out, stores are empty, and you're staring down the barrel of uncertainty, beans are the one food that can keep you going. Why? Because they're cheap, they're packed with protein, and they're one of the best cost-per-calorie foods you can buy. A single 15-ounce can costs you about $1 at most grocery stores. And that's 4 servings of protein, fiber, and slow-burning energy for less than the price of a candy bar. That's survival math that works. And here's the kicker. These low-acid cans can sit on your shelf for 2 to 5 years, sometimes even longer if stored properly in a cool, dry place. But don't make rookie mistakes. Seasoned or sugary versions, skip them. They take up space and deliver fewer calories. Go for plain, no salt-added cans. Rinse them. Season them yourself, and you've got a versatile base for countless meals. Picture this. 2 weeks into a grid-down winter storm, you're stuck at home, but with just beans, canned tomatoes, and a few spices, you can whip up a hot, hearty chili that feeds the whole family. Or mash them up, mix with rice, and stretch a single meal into 3. Want to take it up a notch? Rotate your stock. Use them in your regular cooking so you're always replacing and never wasting. And if you're really serious about prepping, consider dry beans. They're even cheaper. And while they require fuel to cook, they beat almost any other protein source in cost and shelf life. Bottom line, beans are simple, reliable, and in a crisis, they're worth their weight in gold. 2. Canned tuna, the no-cook protein hero. When it comes to survival food, canned tuna is a no-brainer. It's light, it's protein-packed, and it's one of the easiest foods to stash for emergencies. No cooking, no power, no problem. But here's the thing, tuna isn't without its risks. And if you're not careful, it can turn from a lifesaver to a liability. Let's start with the basics. A standard 5-6-ounce can of tuna will cost you about $1, make end to $1.50 depending on the brand. Want to save even more? Grab a 4-pack for under $4. That's cheap protein, plain and simple. Each can delivers around 20 grams of protein, making it a solid choice for keeping your energy up when everything else is falling apart. But here's where it gets tricky. Tuna has had its share of recalls, and you don't want to be the prepper who stocked up on a bad batch. Just this year, in February 2025, Tri-Union had to recall entire lots of tuna due to lid defects that raised contamination concern. The FDA even published full lot codes for verification. So, before you start hoarding, check those labels. Look for clean cans. No bulging, no rust, no funky pull tabs. A minute of inspection now can save you from a very bad surprise later. Assuming your cans are clean, tuna is one of the most convenient proteins you can have in your pantry. Mix it with a bit of mayo for sandwiches or combine it with rice and canned veggies for a full balanced meal. But smart preppers know better than to put all their eggs, or in this case all their fish, in one basket. Diversify your protein sources. Stock up on sardines, canned salmon, or even canned chicken to hedge against recall risks. Because when supply chains glitch, and they will, you'll still have options to keep your protein levels steady. Tuna is a survival staple, but it's not the only game in town. Use it wisely, and it'll serve you well. Ignore the risks, and it could be your downfall. 3. Canned chicken, the underrated protein powerhouse. Let's talk about canned chicken. Yeah, I know chicken in a can doesn't exactly scream gourmet, but when the power's out and fresh meat is a distant memory, that humble can of chicken might just be the smartest thing in your entire stockpile. Here's the deal. While everyone else is rushing to grab tuna or Spam, canned chicken flies under the radar, and that's your advantage. It's neutral, versatile, and less prone to recalls than seafood. You can mix it into soups, stews, casseroles, or even make sandwiches straight out of the can. No cooking, no mess, no waiting. Just open, drain, and eat. Most 10 to 12 ounce cans of chicken will run you about $2 to $4 depending on the brand and store. That's roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein per serving. Clean, lean, and shelf-stable for 2 to 5 years when stored properly. That's serious value for something that requires zero refrigeration. But don't get lazy. Avoid the flavored versions. Sure, buffalo or lemon pepper might sound good now, but they limit how you can use the chicken later. Stick to plain or lightly seasoned cans so you can control the flavor. Add your own spices, broth, or rice mix, and suddenly, one can becomes the foundation for 5 different meals. And here's a pro tip. Check for BPA-free liners if that's something you care about. More manufacturers are making the switch, but not all have caught up yet. Also, keep an eye on warehouse stores. When they start quietly increasing stock of canned poultry, it's a signal worth noticing. It's reliable, cheap to transport, and doesn't rely on the cold chain. In other words, it's disaster-proof food. Canned chicken might not be glamorous, but it's practical, versatile, and dependable. When the grid goes down and fresh meat is off the table, that $3 can of chicken could be the difference between a hot meal and an empty stomach. Don't overlook it. Canned salmon, the nutritional heavyweight. Let's talk about canned salmon, a survival food that's often overshadowed by tuna but deserves a spot in every prepper's pantry. If you're serious about long-term prepping, this isn't just a luxury item, it's a nutritional powerhouse that can keep you alive and thriving when the chips are down. Here's the deal. Canned salmon isn't just protein. It's packed with omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and essential nutrients that your body craves, especially during prolonged emergencies. And here's the kicker. Those soft, edible bones inside, they're pure calcium, a critical nutrient when fresh dairy is off the table. Think of it as a built-in multivitamin that also happens to taste pretty good. Most cans of salmon, whether it's sockeye or pink, have a shelf life of 2 to 5 years when stored properly in a cool, dry place. That's on par with other canned proteins. But the nutrient density you're getting here is unmatched. Sockeye salmon is richer in flavor and omega-3s, while pink salmon is milder and often more affordable. Either way, both options deliver more bang for your buck than most other canned meats. Now, let's talk versatility. A single can of salmon can stretch into multiple meals. Mix it with rice and canned veggies for a hearty stew, stir it into pasta for a quick dinner, or whip up a salmon spread with mayo and crackers for a no-cook snack. The possibilities are endless, and the prep is minimal. But here's the real reason you need salmon in your stockpile: healthy fats. In a long-term grid-down scenario, your body starts to break down without enough fat in your diet. Omega-3s are crucial for brain function, immune support, and/or energy when stress and scarcity are at their peak. Salmon provides that in spades, making it a survival food that's as practical as it is nutritious. So the next time you're stocking up, don't just grab the tuna. Add a few cans of salmon to your cart. It's not just food, it's fuel for your body and mind when you need it most. 5. Canned sardines and mackerel, the underrated superfoods. If you're skipping over sardines and mackerel in the canned food aisle, you're making a rookie mistake. These small, oily fish might not win any popularity contests, but they're a prepper's secret weapon when it comes to value, nutrition, and shelf life. Let's break it down. Sardines and mackerel are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, protein, and calcium. Those tiny edible bones, they're a goldmine of calcium, which is critical when fresh dairy is out of reach. And here's the kicker. These little cans are some of the highest calorie per dollar foods you can buy. For under $2, you're getting 200 to 250 calories and around 20 grams of protein. That's survival math that works. Shelf life: 3 to 5 years, as long as you store them in a cool, dry spot. That's right up there with other canned proteins, but with way more nutrient density. And let's not forget the fat content. In a survival situation, fat equals fuel. Sardines and mackerel packed in oil provide those extra calories you'll need when carbs are scarce. Water-packed versions are lighter and more versatile, perfect for mixing into soups or casseroles. Now, I get it. Taste is the biggest hurdle for most people. But here's the secret. Don't eat them straight out of the can if you're not used to them. Mash them into rice with a little canned tomato and seasoning, or spread them on crackers with a squeeze of lemon. Once you try them in a recipe, you'll realize they're not just fishy snacks, they're power-packed survival food. Smart preppers know to diversify. Stock a mix of oil-packed and water-packed cans to cover all your bases. Because when the grocery shelves are empty, it won't be the fancy freeze-dried meals that keep you going. It'll be the overlooked nutrient-dense staples like sardines and mackerel. 6 canned tomatoes and paste. The flavor lifesavers. Canned tomatoes and tomato paste might not seem like survival essentials at first glance, but let me tell you, they're the unsung heroes of any prepper pantry. These humble red cans are the backbone of flavor, turning bland survival food into meals you'll actually want to eat. Why are they so important? Because they're versatile, shelf-stable, and cheap. A single can of diced or crushed tomatoes can transform plain beans, rice, or canned meat into a hearty chili stew or pasta sauce. And when you've been eating shelf-stable food for weeks, trust me, flavor becomes a form of survival. Most canned tomatoes have a shelf life of 1 to 3 years, depending on storage condition. That's slightly shorter than low-acid foods like beans or chicken, but still long enough to justify buying in bulk. The key is rotation. Use one, replace one. At around $1 a Pantry, 50 per can for diced or crushed tomatoes, and 60 to $1 for tomato paste. They're one of the best deals in your pantry. But here's where most people go wrong. They only stock one type of tomato product. That's a mistake. You need variety. Diced tomatoes are great for soups, crushed tomatoes work for sauces, and tomato paste is your secret weapon for concentrated flavor. A single spoonful of paste can rescue bland beans, rice, or even canned meat. Pro tip: buy tomato paste in tubes instead of cans. Tubes are easier to store, create zero waste, and last longer once opened. Just squeeze out what you need and save the rest for later. Canned tomatoes also offer a nutritional boost. They're a great source of vitamin C and antioxidants, which are hard to come by when fresh produce is off the table. So they're not just about taste, they're a genuine survival asset. When you're stocking up, don't underestimate these red cans. They might not look like much, but they're the key to keeping your meals and your morale alive when the world slows down. 7 canned pork, Spam, and corned beef. The crisis comfort food. Let's talk about the survival food that people love to mock until they're starving. Canned pork, Spam, and corned beef. These aren't just relics from your grandparents' pantry. They're the unsung heroes of any serious prepper's stockpile. When the power's out, the fridge is empty, and you're running on fumes, these cans are what keep you going. Here's why they're a must-have. Each can is a dense package of calories, protein, and fat, with a shelf life that laughs in the face of expiration dates. In 2025, you can grab a 12-ounce can of Spam or corned beef for around $3 to $4, depending on where you shop. That's 6 to 8 servings of ready-to-eat protein for less than the cost of a fast food meal, and the best part, no cooking required. You can eat it straight out of the can, fry it up for a hot meal, or dice it into rice and beans to stretch your calories and flavor. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, these meats are high in sodium and processed fats, but in a survival situation, that's not a downside. It's an advantage. The salt helps with water retention, which is critical when you're sweating through stress or heat. The fat, that's long-term energy your body will thank you for when carbs are scarce. Pair a can of Spam with a pot of beans or some canned veggies, and you've got a balanced, calorie-dense meal that'll keep you fueled and focused. Shelf life, we're talking years, sometimes well beyond the printed expiration date if stored in a cool, dry place. That's peace of mind in a can. And here's a pro tip. Don't just stockpile one flavor or brand. Variety packs give you options and prevent food fatigue. Plus, these cans are barter gold in a long-term crisis. A single can of Spam could trade for batteries, rice, or even medical supplies when the shelves are bare. So don't let the memes fool you. Canned pork, Spam, and corned beef are serious survival food. They're cheap, compact, and proven to work in every major disaster from World War II to modern hurricanes. When everything else spoils, these little metal bricks of protein will keep you alive and maybe even a little satisfied. Canned evaporated and condensed milk, the survival multitasker. Here's a survival staple that doesn't get nearly enough credit. Canned evaporated and condensed milk. Most people think of these as baking ingredients, but in a crisis, there's so much more. These cans are versatile, calorie-dense, and shelf-stable, making them a must-have for any prepper's pantry. Let's break it down. Evaporated milk is just regular milk with about 60% of the water removed. It's unsweetened and can be rehydrated with water to make milk for coffee, sauces, or even cereal. Condensed milk, on the other hand, is thick, sweet, and packed with calories, perfect for desserts, drinks, or even as a quick morale booster when times are tough. In 2025, you can snag a can of evaporated or condensed milk for $1.50 to $3 depending on the brand and size. And with a shelf life of 2 to 5 years, these cans offer one of the best calorie per inch of shelf space ratios you'll find. That's a big deal when storage space is limited. But the real value of these cans is their versatility. Evaporated milk can be poured straight into soups or casseroles for added creaminess, blended into mashed potatoes, or used to turn powdered foods into something more satisfying. Condensed milk, on the other hand, is a game changer for morale. A spoonful in your coffee or oatmeal can make a tough day feel a little more normal. Here's a pro tip: stock both types. Use evaporated milk for savory meals and condensed milk for sweet treats. That balance will keep your diet and your spirits steady during a crisis. And don't make the rookie mistake of thinking these cans are only for baking. They're functional cooking ingredients and calorie lifelines. One can of condensed milk packs nearly 1,400 calories. That's not just dessert, that's survival fuel. So the next time you're building your pantry, don't overlook these multitasking cans. They're not just about staying alive, they're about staying human. 9. Number 10. Cans. The long-term food insurance. If you're serious about long-term survival, it's time to think beyond the grocery store. Enter number 10 cans. The commercial-sized, industrial-strength food storage solution that every seasoned prepper swears by. These aren't your typical cans of soup or beans. They're built for the long haul, often containing dehydrated or freeze-dried foods with a shelf life that can stretch decades. Here's why they're a game-changer. Most preppers focus on short-term, ready-to-eat foods, but real resilience means planning for years, not just weeks. A single number 10 can hold the equivalent of 8 to 10 regular cans of food, and with a shelf life of 20 to 30 years, it's basically time-proof food security. In 2025, brands like My Patriot Supply and Ready Hour are leading the charge with number 10 cans, filled with everything from beans and rice to powdered milk and freeze-dried fruits. Prices vary depending on the contents, but when you calculate the cost per serving, these cans are surprisingly affordable. You're paying a little more upfront for a massive long-term payoff. But these cans aren't just for doomsday scenarios. Smart preppers use them as a baseline for their household food supply. You can rotate through them slowly, incorporating portions into your regular meals to maintain freshness and familiarity. Just remember, once a number 10 can is opened, it's no longer long-term. You'll need to use it within weeks or reseal portions with oxygen absorbers or Mylar bags. Pro tip: start small. Pick 1 or 2 cans, maybe instant potatoes or freeze-dried fruit, and test them out. Learn how they taste, how to cook them, and how they fit into your family's preferences. When stored properly in a cool, dry place, these cans are literal decades of peace of mind. Number 10 cans are more than just food. They're a strategy. They form the backbone of a layered food system. Short-term cans for now. Number 10 cans for the future. While others chase trends, the seasoned prepper quietly builds a foundation that lasts, because when the world goes sideways, these cans won't just keep you fed, they'll keep you secure. Bonus point 10. Peanut butter. The survival superfood. When it comes to survival foods, peanut butter often flies under the radar. But it's one of the most versatile and calorie-dense items you can stockpile. Think about it. It's shelf-stable, packed with protein, loaded with healthy fats, and requires zero preparation. In a crisis, when every calorie counts, peanut butter is a lifesaver. Let's break it down. A single jar of peanut butter contains anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 calories, depending on the size and brand. That's a lot of energy packed into a small, compact container. It's also rich in protein, with about 7 to 8 grams per serving, and loaded with fats that your body needs to stay fueled during high-stress situations. And here's the kicker. It doesn't need refrigeration. As long as you store it in a cool, dry place, peanut butter can last up to 2 years or more, even past its printed expiration date. But peanut butter isn't just about calories, it's about versatility. You can spread it on crackers, mix it into oatmeal, or eat it straight from the jar with a spoon. In a pinch, it can even be used as an ingredient in survival recipes, like energy balls made with oats and honey, or a quick peanut sauce to flavor rice and canned veggies. And let's not forget the morale boost. When you're stuck eating bland survival food, a spoonful of peanut butter can feel like a treat. Here's a pro tip. Stock both regular and powdered peanut butter. Powdered peanut butter has a longer shelf life and takes up less space, making it a great backup option. You just add water to rehydrate it, and you've got a protein-packed spread ready to go. So, while others are hoarding canned goods and freeze-dried meals, don't forget to grab a few jars of peanut butter. It's cheap, compact, and one of the most efficient ways to keep your energy up when the going gets tough. Bonus point 11. Honey. The eternal sweetener. If there's one food that truly stands the test of time, it's honey. Archaeologists have found pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are still perfectly edible. That's right, honey doesn't spoil. It's the ultimate survival sweetener, and every prepper should have a few jars in their pantry. Why is honey so valuable in a survival situation? For starters, it's a natural source of quick energy. A single tablespoon contains about 64 calories, mostly from natural sugars that your body can easily convert into fuel. It's also packed with antioxidants and has antibacterial properties, making it useful not just as a food but also as a natural remedy for minor cuts, burns, and sore throats. But honey's real power lies in its versatility. You can use it to sweeten tea, drizzle it over oatmeal, or mix it into sauces and marinades. It's also a key ingredient in homemade energy bars and can even be used to preserve fruits and nuts. And let's not forget its role as a morale booster. In a long-term crisis when stress is high and comfort is scarce, a little sweetness can go a long way in lifting your spirits. Here's a pro tip. Buy raw, unfiltered honey. It's less processed and retains more of its natural nutrients and enzymes. And if you're serious about prepping, consider stocking up on honey in bulk. Large containers are more cost-effective and can be portioned out as needed. Honey isn't just a food, it's a survival tool. It lasts forever, provides quick energy, and has medicinal uses that make it invaluable in a crisis. So while you're stocking up on beans and rice, don't forget to add a few jars of this liquid gold to your pantry. Bonus point 12. Salt. The essential mineral. Salt might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of survival foods, but it's one of the most important items you can stockpile. Why? Because salt isn't just a seasoning, it's a survival essential. Let's start with the basics. Salt is critical for maintaining electrolyte balance in your body, especially during high-stress situations where you're sweating more than usual. Without enough salt, you risk dehydration, muscle cramps, and even more serious health issues. It's also a natural preservative, which means you can use it to cure meats, pickle vegetables, and extend the shelf life of other foods. But salt's value goes beyond its practical uses. In a long-term crisis, it becomes a form of currency. Historically, salt has been traded like gold, and in a grid-down scenario, it could easily become one of the most valuable items in your stockpile. A small bag of salt could be traded for food, batteries, or other essentials when supplies run low. Here's the best part. Salt is cheap and lasts forever. You can buy a 5-pound bag for just a few dollars, and as long as you store it in a cool, dry place, it won't go bad. For preppers, that's a no-brainer. Pro tip: stock different types of salt for different uses. Table salt is great for cooking, sea salt adds flavor, and rock salt can be used for preserving food or even melting ice in a winter emergency. And don't forget to include iodized salt in your stockpile. It provides iodine, a nutrient that's essential for thyroid health and can be hard to come by in a survival situation. Salt might not be glamorous, but it's a cornerstone of any good prepper pantry. It's cheap, versatile, and absolutely essential for both survival and barter. So while you're stocking up on canned goods and freeze-dried meals, make sure you've got plenty of salt to go with them.